Hello and welcome back to my venture across the United States, where I visit each state and cover some of the urban legends and local mythology present in them. Today, we're visiting Iowa, the Hawkeye State. Now, Iowa may be known for its corn and pork production, but don't let that fool you. Iowa has a lot going on. There's ghosts, ghouls, and maybe even some dragons flying around, as it turns out. So come with me today as we walk through the fields of Iowa, and don't pay any mind to those footsteps behind us. Just pay attention to what's ahead as we take a deep dive into the creepier corners of Number 1 today is the ghost of Stoney Hollow Road. Now, driving is dangerous enough these days, but add ghosts into the mix and you've got yourself a nightmare for insurance companies. Stoney Hollow Road is supposedly the most haunted road in Iowa. Apparently, way back in the day, a woman snuck out to see a man she was secretly engaged to on this road, but the man never showed up. Geographically speaking, this road is very close to an overlook. I think you know how the story ends. As legend has it, after this woman's demise, she continues to dwell on this road that she passed on. Supposedly, if you go to the spot where she made her final decision and you shout her name out 3 times, you'll see her appear at the edge of the cliff in the same spot that she made her decision that fateful night. Take heed though, apparently she may come up to you and lay a rose at your feet. If this happens, the story goes that you only have 24 hours left to live. My 2 cents, according to the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administrations, you're already 3 times more likely to get into an accident at night than during the day. So maybe leave this poor lover and her back road drama alone and take a walk into town instead. Number 2 today are the Children of Iron Hill. Now there's a short 0.9 mile hike called the Charlie Western Trail in Charles City, Iowa. Supposedly, a train fire and subsequent crash happened here, which took the life of a train cab full of orphaned children in the early 1900s. Back then, some train cars were still made out of wood, which introduced the risk of an odd spark or heat from the railway causing a fire in a loaded passenger car. Admittedly, I was not able to find any record of this train wreck actually occurring in the 1900s in the area, and other folks doing what I do here had similar experiences. However, many folks have claimed to have odd experiences in these woods nonetheless, and there are certainly railroad tracks in the area. There's also definitely a report that in 1917 a train full of orphans did stop in Charles City. It's possible that maybe this wreck occurred or something else horrible that involved children and trains took place near the spot, and the legend has been muddled a bit over time about what exactly did occur. But regardless, they say that along this trail, sometimes, especially at night, you can hear crying children. They have also seen children walking along the trail, most often the ghost of a girl in a dress that walks through the woods. Others have claimed to hear their names called. One visitor even reported to find a burnt doll near the railway, perhaps lending some credence to these stories. So what do you think? Have you hiked up Iron Hill? Did you hear or see anything while you did it? Let me know in the comments. Number 3 is Independence State Hospital. So on these episodes, it's pretty common for me to talk about an old state hospital with a dark history, but it's not often that the hospital I'm covering continues to serve patients. While this hospital was opened in 1873, it's still a psychiatric hospital and offers rehabilitation services and nurse training programs going under a different name than it originally did. This hospital was built to relieve crowding at another hospital. Decent intentions for sure, but if you look to the lobotomy and electroshock therapy equipment stashed in the corners of some of the rooms, your opinion on the place will quickly change. Also, it quickly became overcrowded itself, stuffing patients in rooms as the need for mental health care grew due to the First and Second World War. Luckily, the paranormal activity and dark history appears to be mostly confined to the portion of this building that's no longer being used, and these portions are only open during tours. In this part of the hospital, the part that is generally closed off, folks have reported feeling cold drafts, whispers, and have even heard screams. In one report I saw, a light even flickered and turned off in a room someone was visiting. It's also apparently not unusual to see old patients wandering the halls of the building that they used to live in. If all of this sounds interesting to you, you're more than welcome to visit the hospital. It offers tours to those who are brave enough to come their way. So next time you're around, visit the Independence State Hospital. Number 4 is Periwinkle Place Manor. Now, a haunted funeral home, I mean, duh. All funeral homes must be haunted, right? I mean, you bring dead people there. And a haunted hotel? How cliche. Well, how about this? A funeral home which was converted to a bed and breakfast. Not to break character, but that's just savage, and I absolutely love it. That's exactly what the Periwinkle Place Manor is. In Chelsea, Iowa, this bed and breakfast was a funeral home in 1892, which ran until 2003, and was sold to a private party, which converted a 100-year-long funeral home to a bed and breakfast. Wild, and I love it. As you might expect, this place has one heck of an eerie reputation. You have a rocking horse in your bedroom? Expect that thing to rock. You have a doll in your bedroom? Expect to see it at the end of your bed maybe in the middle of the night. Oh, and by the way, the shut door in your room is going to open. When you're taking a shower, you're going to hear humming outside of it. And at night, on the side of your bed, apparently you might see a full-bodied apparition lulling you to sleep. Even the people that wrote one of the articles that I read to write this with, the Iowa Public Broadcasting Station, visited this bed and breakfast, and while they were there filming, they had a camera malfunction. Luckily, this bed and breakfast leans right into its past though, and its Facebook page advertises its morbid past and haunted present, going so far as to offer ghost tours of the property. Personally, if I'm ever passing through Iowa, I'll probably try my best to stay here. Alright, so at number 5 today, we have a kicker. Dragons in Iowa. So let's just be clear, I don't think these creatures terrorizing the small town of Van Meter in Iowa were actually dragons, if they were any more than just magpies. But supposedly winged creatures attacked townsfolk in Van Meter at some point in the past, and that sounds enough like dragons to me, so I'm going to go along with the tale. Anyways, in 1903, some flying creatures were messing with the folks of Van Meter, which had a population of 1,000 at the time. It all started when a local businessman saw lights on top of a building at 1 a.m., which in 1903 was probably a surprising sight. Even more surprising is that this light disappeared and came back on top of another building. Soon after, residents also awoke to strange noises, prompting people in town to think someone was scoping out businesses to commit a robbery. Eventually, a banker decided to sleep at his bank because of this, and sure enough, that night that he was sleeping at the bank, he awoke to his front door being jostled by someone or something. So, he fired his gun out the window. In the morning, he found only broken glass scattered around large 3-toed tracks. Apparently, however, the story doesn't end there after he shot it. After the creature was shot, apparently another resident saw the whole thing, and whatever the creature was, flew out of town and towards a local coal mine. The next night, apparently the creature returned. One of the townsfolk shot the creature, but apparently it just reacted by shining a bright light on him and then spraying some sort of odor at him. This prompted a group of men to go to the mine where it apparently lived and confront it. Now these men got there and they waited around for a while, and eventually the creature emerged from the cavern and flew toward them with an identical, smaller creature, but it later returned and fled into the mine, and as it was going into its mine, the men fired upon it. The mine is now sealed, and many think that the creature got shot and died inside of the mine. However, some still claim to see strange flying creatures over Van Meter, Iowa. And the city even devotes a festival to the creature each year, so glad to see they're embracing it. Alright, thank you all for coming with me today on this ride through the great state of Iowa. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button and give it a like so I can provide you with more of this content. Also, go ahead and hit that alert button so that you're told when my next video drops in the state of Kansas. If nothing else, next time you're peering into a cave and you hear something flapping around inside, consider taking a walk back to town. What lies ahead may be a bit more than just a bat. But most importantly, whether you're being chased by dragons, ghostly children, or very, very old patients, don't you ever forget, it's always storied.